Crapmore gang, we might have just got one of the darkest and most chilling updates in the David situation yet. Now, you might remember not too long ago, there was talk from an alleged private investigator who was working with the owner of the property that David was living in when the body of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the 14-year-old girl, was found in the trunk of his Tesla. This investigator had been teasing updates, basically saying that he had apparently found items inside David's former home that the police apparently hadn't taken. He had said that there was some kind of sadistic thing going on with these items. He didn't describe exactly what they are. Some people thought they were farming equipment. Some people thought that it was some kind of tools. But essentially, he inferred that whatever this was found at the property was something that could have been used to destroy the body before it ended up being found by the police. It seems that Steve Fisher, the private investigator, has now revealed exactly what that item was that was found in the house that inexplicably the police seemingly didn't want anything to do with. And it is so much worse than we could have possibly imagined. This is the post. This is SF Investigates on Twitter. He said, although my words have been misquoted by some, what I actually said about certain items found at the Doheny House address was that they were items you would expect to find on a farm rather than in a home in the Hollywood Hills. One of those items was a burn cage incinerator, advertised to be able to burn at 1600 degrees. Human cremations are typically performed at approximately 1400 degrees. An incinerator is not legal to use within city limits and serves no legitimate purpose at a residential property in the Hollywood Hills. Some will argue that this item was intended as a prop for a video. If that were the case, it raises several obvious questions. Why would a 55-pound burn cage be delivered to a private residence instead of directly to a prop designer or production house? Why would it be ordered before departing on an extended world tour? And why was it never used in any video production? It's also important to note that there were additional items present that could have been used in conjunction with the burn cage. To be very clear, this burn cage was not used. It was still new and in the box. However, given that Celeste Rivas Hernandez's remains were ultimately found in the Tesla's trunk, the presence of an incinerator at the same residence associated with that vehicle necessarily raises questions about intent. The burn cage was not taken during the search warrant because it was not used, and it appears it's not of any importance to any possible criminal investigation. But I think it's important context. Even if not criminal, the burn cage and other related items were delivered to the residence under a false name, although the deliveries were accepted at the property. Attached is a photograph of the actual burn cage incinerator as found at the residence, along with an image from Dr. Burns' advertising materials for the product. Now, this is creepy as hell. Now, not only is this insane that the police apparently didn't think a burn cage, an incinerator, apparently, hey, it's not important for the case. That don't mean nothing. Yeah, it's not been opened. Ain't no use. Are you crazy? And this is an image from the marketing materials. It says this burn cage incinerates up to 1600 degrees. That's hotter than a cremation. This is bizarre, right? This is very interesting. It would be interesting to know when this was purchased. And what I think is really interesting that he points out, it was ordered under a fake name, but it was accepted. The delivery was accepted at the property. So you can't say, oh, it was a mistake, it was an accident. I have nothing to do with a burn cage that was ordered. Like, I was not even ordered in my name. But wait a minute. You accepted the delivery. What the hell? It says, so I was looking at the website for the burn cage. The answer to one of the questions was that the burn cage can get up to 1600 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's not guaranteed to become that hot. It would really depend on what you're burning. Maybe somebody saw that after purchase and realized the burn cage might not serve its purpose, so they never unpacked it and stashed Celeste's body while they tried to come up with another solution. As for the expecting to find a burn cage on a farm, You must know different farmers than I do. I can't imagine any of them spending a bunch of money on such a thing when burn barrels can be had for cheap or free. Need more airflow for more thorough burning? Drill some holes in it. All my farmer friends are uber frugal. They have to be. As the old saying goes, the only way to become a millionaire at farming is to start as a billionaire. And it's not like they dispose of dead livestock by cremating them. That's what backhoes are for. The burn cage seems to be the sort of thing purchased by rich suburban yuppies who don't want to lower themselves to using an ugly burn barrel. But hey, to each his own. Now, this is absolutely crazy. I think this is incredibly damning. I'm actually stunned that the police didn't seem to think that this was something that was important. And no doubt, he's hearing about SF talking about, oh, they're hassling him for the grand jury. It's kind of like, bruh, cops should have been doing their job. And now it's like, oh, we're going to hassle this guy, bring him in at the grand jury. It's like, bro, this was at the house. You didn't need to bring this guy in for a grand jury. But anyway, okay, this is going around in all the subreddits, and I'll be very curious to see what the response is over on the various David subreddits. This has been going absolutely wild. All right, people are saying they're really happy it's finally been clarified. A lot of people really didn't respect the fact that he basically was saying, no, I'm not gonna say what I found. I'm gonna keep it top secret. I can't say mystery. Ooh, it was some sadistic tools. I agree. I thought that was super lame and pathetic. Like, either tell the people what's going on or don't. Either keep it secret or let us know. Don't be dropping clues and hints and all teaser. Oh, next time on SF Investigates, just let us know. And he has let us know now. And I wonder whether maybe he didn't let us know because he was scared of the police or the grand jury or whatever the investigation was. But it says, very important thing, SF said that the cage was ordered before going on the tour in Europe. There's an interesting detail in SF's post. That may be Steve's usual tease that he has more info to share. Is his comments also important to note that there were additional items present that could be used in conjunction with the burn cage? Oh my God, edging me. Just tell me. People are saying that could just be gasoline or fire starter. He is a twisted fire starter. He says maybe that's why he was scouting rural areas in Santa Barbara in the middle of the night. He knew damn well he couldn't use that in his own backyard because the neighbor would call, or even the fire department itself would be called there just from the smoke and smell alone. Maybe when them wildfires were going off, maybe that would have been a good time. Could you imagine if David was the one who started the wildfires in California? That'd be crazy. Said maybe he got cold feet. Even the rural parts of Santa Barbara are still too close to the city lines. Ran out of time. That's why her body was still ultimately found in his frunk. He says it's important to clarify that Steve Fisher prefers to refer to the Vieiro Drive mansion as the Doheny address, which it technically is in some of the listings of the home, but referring to the Vieiro Drive mansion where the burn cage was at as Doheny may confuse some people. Following the case with respect to the 804 Doheny house that TMZ will not acknowledge and Steve insists is not important, despite facts and photos that seem to suggest otherwise. He says, I don't understand. Wouldn't that provoke enormous amounts of smoke? There was a famous case more than 10 years ago in Spain where a father, Jose Breton, burned his 2 infant kids alive after giving them sleeping pills to take revenge for his wife leaving him. On a day that he had the little ones, he burned them in a private property belonging to his parents in a rural part of Andalusia. He, of course, said that someone stole the kids and he'd been searching for them a la O.J. Simpson in the golf fields. In the trial, it was revealed that the fire brigade's technology had detected smoke on that date. I was surprised that, as I didn't know the fire brigade technology was so advanced. It says, where would David do that? If it was in the countryside, wouldn't the fire brigade intervene? If it was a private property in the countryside, whose property would that be at? All right, it's very interesting. It says, yes, it would. He wouldn't be able to do that in LA because not only would someone have called the cops for all the smoke, but the smell as well. I don't think David burned the body or it would have been stated. He didn't, but they're saying he was going to. All right. It says, however, if he were to do this, he would need to do it in an area far outside of LA to prevent anyone from smelling anything and calling the cops. It says, yeah, her body wasn't burned yet. Perhaps he was scouting a good location to do that. Potentially Santa Barbara. We get the gist. It says, I thought this was from age beginning, but he said evaporate. It said, you know the worst part of all of this? This guy's lawyer can refute several things. How infuriating. The product was unopened. He could claim it was meant for something else entirely, not specifically for that house. It's getting nerve-wracking. But ordering it under an alias and accepting it is also weird. All right? It is weird. People saying this explains the Santa Barbara trip. He was trying to find somewhere to burn her body without triggering the cops. Also, a burning body smells. He needed to do it in a remote area where the homes are far apart. The smell wouldn't have been able to reach people's homes. It says another detail in SF's post that makes me wonder if something symbolic or just plain weird was used for a fake name. Yeah, we already had that. It says they wanted to delete all traces of Celeste like she never existed in this world. She speaks loud from the other side. She can't be silenced. That's facts. And she's going to have justice, all right? There's going to be justice for Celeste. It says there was a fire that day in the area. Remember the California wildfires? Maybe they thought they could blend it in with the fires. That's a real possibility. Now, that is one of the most interesting theories I've heard, okay? And we've seen all these little hidden disappearing messages talking about the fires. I don't know. Right? They're saying that's crazy. Why do you think Steve is sharing this? Won't you get flack for it? Probably now because it's far enough along in the investigation. Now, what I do think is interesting, okay? What I do think is interesting is a minute ago, Steve was talking about, oh, I'm not allowed to talk about this case anymore. I'm going to have to take a step back from talking about this case. Next thing you know, we got a whole essay about what he found in the house. What changed? What happened? Like, it really wasn't long ago that he was saying, oh, look at this piece of scrawling on a toilet paper. They've asked me to appear in court. Like, I've been ordered to appear in court. But I don't know. You know, he was saying he couldn't talk about it. I'm trying to scroll back. He's talking about a whole bunch of nonsense in between here. Arguing with the medical examiner. You know, he's been going back, like, you know. This is the one I was looking for. Because of the volume of calls and emails received following the TMZ reporting from an unnamed source, for legal reasons, I cannot provide any further public comment on the case at this time. This wasn't that long ago. This was less than a month ago. Next thing you know, he breaking it all down for the people. But I do appreciate it, and I'm glad that he did actually come back and tell us what he found, because I feel like that was only right to let the people know. Okay, and it's been going around on all the different subreddits. This is David 2, all right? This basically is just, you know, explaining how it's been found. People saying under a false name. Wow, suspicious. Okay, makes you wonder what those guys were planning. And they think it's the Santa Barbara trip. Says, wow, finally we see what the items used to dispose of a body are, and how sad. Even if the body wasn't found in the trunk and he was able to go through with his plan, this MF really thought he was going to get away with it. I guess he thought that her being a missing person already was going to help. It says, I think the plan was to come back from tour, then burn the remains, but the Tesla was towed before that could happen. People saying, well, that part's obvious. I'm asking how he thought he was going to get away with it, considering hella people knew about them, including LAPD. I wonder if he thought he was going to continue his music career or if he planned on going on the run. So that's so weird for them to leave it behind, even if it wasn't used. All right, they're saying, yeah, they can't be that dumb, right? I think they might be. All right, it says, I mean, they left Celeste's body in a Tesla registered to a suspect very near to where he was residing. I think they are that dumb. And people are saying, I think they meant the police. All right. So not sure, but if the shoe fits, yeah, we get the gist, right? It says this is something that could have been delivered to a soundstage or a studio. The fact that it's in his house is alarming. Even more so that police left it there and presumably didn't even look into it or the other suspicious items. I'm not going to lie. They could have used it and then just repackaged it. I mean, look at the tape on this thing. I ain't going to lie. Like, you could use it fully, clean it, and then put it back in here. I mean, maybe these ones around the side are indicative of it not being opened, but like, this doesn't strike me as like a product that's in perfectly pristine condition that's never been used, you know. It just doesn't strike me as that, right? They're saying they definitely planned this a while ago. It's interesting they didn't use this burn cage. Also, the fact that it's illegal to own something like this in that state. How did they even get it to there? Some people are saying maybe it drove from Texas. Is it definitely illegal? I thought the police would have took it if it was illegal. People are saying they're speechless because we already know what the intent here was for that effing incinerator. People saying, I knew it. I kept saying this and everyone said chemicals or saws. SF literally said evaporate and my mind went to this. Where was this photo released? Right? It is twisted. It's all just sick. It's all in plain sight and they didn't even take it as evidence. This is just corrupt. But people saying they don't need to physically take it for it to be considered evidence. They could take pics of it and document it in that way. I want to know is like, was that left behind? Like when David moved out, was it a thing where it was like, yo, they just left that behind or he took that with him or what? I guess it was left behind if Steve Fisher's getting his hands on it. It says, if by theory he wasn't a suspect and there was another name on the box like Epstein case Leo's, what? Went in and could... Epstein case law enforcement officers went in and could record what they found, but some things either labeled as another person, which hasn't been communicated as the defendant or suspect. They could take pictures unless confirmed as evidence in the active car, which they were searching the house for. This doesn't make sense. Says, well, that's suspicious. I wonder why they had means of disposal. and still just left her in a car registered to his government name. It seems very rushed to me. Maybe they thought someone was onto them, or maybe they just figured since he was on tour, nobody would suspect them. Was he planning on returning to the car and recovering the body? It just doesn't make sense. These monsters. People saying they didn't expect the Tesla to get towed. Maybe they had someone move it around and the person stopped doing his job. It says, I think they effed up and lost the key to the Tesla, then he had to go on tour. I think he knew this day was coming, and I hope every minute he spent waiting for the news to drop was hell. I don't know much about Teslas, but I do know that it was widely reported that employees can and have watched footage from customers' Teslas, especially Elon, whenever they called for assistance. He might have been able to call them for roadside assistance, but was worried they would watch the footage because he's famous. He might have been able to call a locksmith if he had done so immediately before the smell set in. However, he either put it off or frantically was hoping to find the keys, or he didn't even think of that, being a dumb, inexperienced 20-year-old. It says, I know a lot of people mentioned that LA police are useless when it comes to investigating S crimes. Well, that's one hell of a thing to leave behind in a murder investigation. If the police didn't take pictures of it and it's not in evidence, then that's one huge F up by the police department. It was also delivered with a false name. No reason for a musician to have that. Okay. Why the F would the cops not take it in? As usual, I don't trust the LAPD. Let the downvotes come. BF apparently questioning their incompetency and justice for Celeste is weird. It says, if the police have a purchase record, there's no need to take the box. It was in his home. Fingerprints are a given. If the box was unopened, no need to take it in for evidence. This box looks as though it was opened at one point, or the box busted in shipping or transport, likely due to weight. If the contents do not appear out of place, then no need to take it in. Photographic evidence can suffice. Let me ask this to those that wonder why it was not taken in by investigators. What do you want the police to do with this large piece of equipment if it's obviously that the box was not opened and the contents were not used? I'm not going to lie. I'm no management level investigator at the LAPD. This looks like it was opened. And just because there's one bit of string down the bottom, it's like, right, if I was a mastermind, it's like, if I was a mastermind criminal, I might think, I know, why don't I just cut the top of the box, take the thing out, use it a little bit. Like, they might have tried to put the body in this thing and it didn't fit. Like, there could be some DNA on this. Take it out, test it. Why? We might as well just test it. All right, it's been months. You haven't got anywhere in this case. You might as well take this to the station and test it. And say, oh, it was, this box, it doesn't look like it was tampered with. Like, let's just leave it. Just take a picture of it. That's fine. Bro, test it. Please just test it. Just in case, you never know, right? You got nothing else to go on. Not made any arrests otherwise. That's crazy. This says there's different sizes. Here's the biggest one. Burn cage max. That can absolutely fit a 14-year-old body, not even dismembered. This is chilling. I'm not going to lie. Like, the way that this guy looks, someone needs to do a meme and just put David's face on this guy for me. It says, oh my lord, there is no way this stuff isn't connected. What else is David Burke going to be using a burn cage for? It's super annoying how many ways they'll be able to argue about this in court, but hopefully there'll be enough circumstantial evidence and it'll all work out together. It says, right, and why wouldn't he just use his regular name to buy it? I'm sorry, I know he's famous, but he's not Justin Bieber level famous where he needs to hide his name when purchasing stuff. It just seems shady to me given all other evidence. I just want to know how she ended up in the trunk of his car, because that could have been the plan. It says they could be used for various things. Most people use them for bonfires and to keep warm while hanging out in the backyard. As I mentioned above, my parents have one, but it's shaped differently, and my dad burns all of his bank statements, bills that he's paid, and other papers, newspapers, and toasts marshmallows, and burns a few pizzas on it. Why do you burn pizzas on it? Pretty sure if David did buy one and bought it for his backyard for little get-togethers with the other demon slayers, not to burn a body because they don't get hot enough. I'm going to downvote that because it's low-key sticking up for David. It says that's a burn barrel, not to be confused with an incinerator, and they don't get hot enough to burn a body. My parents have one in their backyard, and my dad uses it to burn paperwork and toast marshmallows. This guy's... Is that the same guy? Or is that a different guy? Everyone's just like... I don't know. So the news of the incinerator has officially found its way to the New York Post. Okay, it has been reported. This is today. All right, it says burn cage incinerator reportedly found at David's rented Hollywood home after teen's body found in trunk of Tesla. Now, okay, I don't know why we're seeing that. So the article's got a few more pictures of one of these being used, right? This is apparently the same kind of thing being used, and it's just creepy as hell to even see. Like, bro, this thing's creepy as... Like, I don't want one of these in my house. That's all I'll say, okay? It says the burn cage was advertised to burn at 1600 degrees. On the box, it read professional power done right. Apparently, they're illegal to use in LA County. All right? They're saying some will argue it was... this was already from the post that you read about Steve Fisher, so you already know about that, right? But, like, You get the gist, okay? It's just creepy as hell. Now, there's one more post on Reddit about this, but I don't think there's anything else interesting. We've kind of explored all the angles, okay? But some people are kind of hating on SF. It says it seems like SF Investigates and TMZ are intentionally keeping the narrative alive by dropping new information whenever the other side tries to calm things down, which is terrible. It says, although my words have been... Oh, this is the same thing we've already seen. It says, that's wildly creepy. I really hope while they did not take it, they took note of it to mention during the trial, because if this doesn't show intent, I don't know what does anymore. Like, why in the world would this dude ever need one of these in Hollywood, okay? In Hollywood. It's insane. Right? I just don't get why they didn't take it, and why anyone on here who questions LAPD competency is downvoted to hell when they do stuff like this. So since it was not used, it wouldn't need to be taken from the property. Bro, it looks... That bot, come on. Like, really? You didn't say, let's just take it in case. Let's just be safe and take it, all right? I have a feeling that photos in court would suffice. They're not going to haul this box into the courtroom. No, but test the box. Test the actual object, all right? Test the actual object, all right? Ugh, it's just so. Anyway, look, I'm going to wrap it up there, right? But look, this is creepy as hell. I think that this is, in my opinion, like, this is very damning. Like, why you got this in your house, bro? Like, why have you got this in your house in Hollywood? There is not really many excuses. Oh, it was for a music video. Bro, shut the hell up. Yeah, it was for a music video. Cool, bro. I've got a whole timeline of a bunch of stuff that's very, very interesting about David and an alleged potential accomplice in this situation. I'm going to do a very long breakdown for you guys. I was going to do it yesterday, but I didn't quite have time. I might have time to do it tonight, but I've got to go and record a video about another topic. But just stay tuned. I will be back with another update, and I just wanted to make sure that I brought you this update before I dug deeper into any of the other stuff that I've got, because there is some crazy stuff going around that has really not got the shine that it deserves. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and just stay tuned, because I've got a big breakdown coming, and I'm going to have something major coming on the main channel in probably before Christmas. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much, and I'm out, gang. Peace.